We've talked a bit about the individual shadow, and now I'm just going to do a video on what we call the collective shadow. And I mean, this is a topic I could speak for hours on, so I'm really going to do my best to keep this short, and I might divide it into two different videos. The collective shadow. What do I mean, first of all, when I say collective? Well, what I mean all of humanity, okay? The collection of all the human beings that are on this earth, okay? The collective shadow. So I want you to think about it as, there are people who have done a degree of shadow work in their own healing, okay? And they have a really deep awareness of their shadow, and they're doing the work around their shadow, okay? And they know these kind of dark places that they have kept hidden, and they're doing the work to make them conscious and so that they don't cause harm to others and to themselves, okay? So when I say the collective shadow, I'm actually referring to the people who haven't done that work. So I'm thinking about all of humanity. Okay, we got this big group of humans. I'm thinking about the people who have not done that work. That's what I'm referring to when I talk about the collective shadow. And so we have, oh my gosh, just so many hordes of people who have not done this work. Okay, so what does this look like then? Well, so we've talked about, the different ways the shadow can look. Okay, so these are the beliefs and the behaviors that we keep hidden. Okay, we kind of know about them, but we keep them hidden. We're not conscious to them. Like we haven't done a degree of curiosity or healing on them. We know they're there, and we keep them hidden. We keep them secret. We keep them away from those we love, from our colleagues, etc. Okay, we keep them hidden, deeply hidden. There's a shame here. Really important to kind of acknowledge that shame here. So then what does this look like, or what can this look like? So I'm tailoring this video to talk more about the political environment right now in the United States, but this applies to all across the world right now and in history as well. But so let's say, I'm going to give you kind of a menu of what the shadow can look like in people, okay? So it can be a shadow in a woman. Like a woman can actually have a real deep hatred for other women, but that's hidden, okay? That internalized misogyny, that's hidden. It could be, man or woman. It could be a deep hatred or disgust with folks who are unhoused. It could be a deep disgust and hatred for folks who are physically larger than them. A deep hatred and disgust for folks who have more money than we do, have more privilege than we do, more wealth than we do. It can be a deep hatred and disgust for people who identify as LGBTQIA+. It can be a deep hatred and disgust for an entire race, for individuals from insert country, okay? There can be a deep hatred and disgust for that. A deep hatred and disgust for people who have skin colors that are different than ours, okay? So this can look like a lot of different ways. Really important to note. So what happens is when you get a leader a political leader who begins to actually talk openly and with a degree of pride about some of the shadow that we have in ourselves. Let's say they start to talk openly about hatred towards a group of people from Mexico, or they start to enact executive actions that obviously reflect a deep hatred and disgust towards women or individuals of color or who identify as LGBTQIA+. When you get a leader who starts to talk openly about these things and to act on these things, what happens is you have these people who all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this leader that we elect, this is our leader, our country's leader, he's actually talking openly about the things that I keep hidden. And it shifts the energy in the shadow. And for a lot of people, and this is what we're seeing, they kind of have license now to be more open and to start talking about and behaving in a way or acting on these shadow aspects of themselves. That is different than doing shadow work and developing a consciousness and a curiosity and an awareness about the shadow. That's very different. They are simply just now acting on their shadow, okay? And this can look like a lot of different ways. I mean, you can just look at our country right now and see the 30,000 examples of how this looks. But this is what happens is we get then large groups of people who have this shadow, this very dark shadow, which results in pain towards these groups. Pain, violence, hatred, othering, you name it. This is what we see happening. So that's what the collective shadow can really look like. Why is this important for somebody to know who is healing from relational trauma? What I have found in folks who are healing from relational trauma is that they feel a deep sense of purpose to not be part of the problem and to be a part of the solution when they see pain happening around them, okay? And the other thing that I see is that they're deeply feeling in general. And so, when folks who are healing from relational trauma, they've experienced relational trauma, when they feel powerless about a situation, that can be really difficult. And what I really encourage folks who are healing from relational trauma to remember is that they're not powerless, ever. They're not powerless. And one of the biggest things that they can do to be on the side of the solution is just to continue that deep healing work that they're doing, that individual healing work. If enough of us do our healing work, and that includes shadow work, that is going to, whether we believe that or not, or we see this right now or not, if enough of us really do that, that is going to shift the collective, okay? It will. It may take hundreds of years, but it will absolutely make a change and make a difference. If you're feeling a little bit more confident and strong in your healing process, one of the things that I encourage folks to do regarding this collective shadow is relationship, okay? We're so, I think when we see somebody acting or behaving a certain way, it can elicit fear, understandably so in a lot of us. And I'm not saying to approach people who speak abusively or who are threatening to us. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is if there's somebody from a political party that is not yours, you have differing political views, try to pick one person that you feel relatively safe with. And I want you to try to engage with that person, develop a relationship with that person so that you can begin to see who they are, understand who they are underneath their political beliefs. And this would be, ideally reciprocal. They would want to do the same thing with you. They want to understand who you are underneath your political beliefs. Notice the verbiage I'm using here, who you are, okay? Our political beliefs are not who we are. They are parts of us. That's really important to recognize here, okay? Again, this premise of the self, we are all fundamentally good. We are inherently good. But what happens is we develop these parts that can be very dark and can cause a lot of pain to those around us. So I hope that you found this helpful. If enough of us kind of come together with folks, develop relationship with people, we connect versus dividing. We get closer instead of dividing, especially with those who have differing political beliefs than us. That can also cause a very significant impact. It may take hundreds of years for that impact to be felt, but that is something that we can do today if we're feeling strong enough to do it in our own healing process. If you don't feel strong enough to do that, that is absolutely okay. Just continue your own individual healing work. That in and of itself is so incredibly impactful. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for coming on here to be willing to expand and learn and grow.